Am I wrong here? I read only a headline that did Elon Musk give a Nazi salute at the inauguration yesterday?
Oh,
Yeah.
only twice. I mean,
Come on.
Yeah.
Look, it's party time.
All right, come on.
Kid Rock is hitting on reporters.
Is that true? Was he Nazi saluting yesterday? I didn't see that.
Well, of course.
Depends on who you ask.
Exactly.
I guess, right? Yeah.
Some say salute. Some say, hey, he just can't wave.
He's a bad waiver.
You know, he was
Bad waver.
he's raised in South Africa. Maybe they do it. I bet they do it differently.
Do it
there.
differently there. Okay.
Caught in the moment for sure, I'd say. Either way.
Yep. Okay.
He was celebrating, he was dancing, and he said, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. But he then took the hand and gave a very it's all about the bend in the wrist.
You got to bend.
So many jobs could be saved with just bending of the wrist.
You want to? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think an elbow bend even.
Yeah,
just a
it was
friendly wave.
But one time, it's like, ooh, that looks familiar. But then he turned around and did it again to the people behind him, and you're like, you really got to work on that wave, man.
I would. If I were him, I would. I read today, these are inauguration factoids. I'm challenging the very first one. I'm challenging it. The first inauguration factoid, this is about all inaugurations all time, was that George Washington is the only president to have been inaugurated in two different cities. In 1789, Washington took the oath in New York City because that was the capital at the time. 4 years later, it had moved to Philadelphia, so he took the inauguration there. So New York and Philly for George Washington. After that, all in Washington, D.C., and no presidents have ever been inaugurated in two different places. But am I wrong that Lyndon Johnson, was inaugurated in a plane over
It's
Kansas?
one of the most famous photographs
Yeah.
of the 1960s.
Did he just, is that where he just took the oath but was really inaugurated later? Did they even have time? Did they do that later like in Washington?
I just assumed one was
I
I
thought
did
he
too.
just took over.
I did too. But I guess they probably had a ceremony back.
Or are you not inaugurated? He assumed the office.
Yeah, maybe
there's a difference.
Maybe it is. Because later, 4 years later, he won, or 2 years later.
He won his one election.
And he's in Washington, D.C. So I guess that didn't count as inauguration. That's just you take the oath of office. I also heard yesterday.
He didn't win an election.
But so if you assume the office, you're not inaugurated. Like Ford was not inaugurated.
You're sworn in, but I guess it's not the same thing. Maybe that's how they split it.
That must be.
Historians.
Yesterday they were running late, and they said they have to slam everything in here, or Trump will not take the oath at noon, and he's supposed to do it exactly at noon. And then the other analyst said, even if he has not taken the oath, let's say it's 3 minutes after 12 and they haven't begun the oath, he is the president, no matter what. He is at noon, it changes, even if it's ceremony to take it. But at 3 afternoon, if he still hasn't had the oath and some major event happens, Trump would make the decision, not Biden. Interesting stuff like that to me when it goes through there. The first, you probably know this, Biggie, first president to walk the parade route.
I believe it was Jimmy Carter.
It was. They just talked about that. Jimmy Carter was the first to get out of the car and walk. I found this interesting. Ronald Reagan holds the records for warmest and coldest inaugurations. In 81, it was 55 degrees. That's the warmest ever. In 85, it was 7 degrees. They moved it inside. That's the coldest ever. And that's the first one they've moved inside since Reagan when they did it yesterday. So cold at U.S. Grant's inauguration, the champagne and apparently almost froze up, and the celebratory canaries dropped dead. They had canaries there to fly, and they all died.
I hate when that happens.
16 degrees and high winds. That's the second coldest inauguration ever, and they held it outdoors. Ulysses S. Grant said, we're doing it. Doesn't matter. And the birds collapsed. George Washington delivered the shortest inauguration speech, 135 words. And Andrew Johnson.
Is the text saved? I mean, do we know what he said?
Should be.
You think that would be preserved?
In the archives, yeah. You'd think at a museum for George Washington's inauguration speech, yeah. Andrew Johnson was inaugurated as vice president in 1865. Was totally drunk. He drank whiskey to try to numb the pain from the typhoid fever he had at that moment.
Lord.
And he was a drinker. Our colleague Dave Aiken should be here.
Yeah.
He's a presidential historian. But Johnson apparently slurred his way through the oaths and the brief speech he gave. because again,
Well, that was medicine back then. Whiskey was medicine.
he had the typhoid. He had the typhoid fever. Now, this is interesting. Abraham Lincoln took an inauguration photo. In the photo, John Wilkes Booth, his future assassin.
I've heard that. Yeah, I knew that one.
Is that one of those urban legends, or that's clocked?
That's clocked. From what? That's clocked. He was Lincoln was the first to be photographed at the inauguration.
How did Booth get there?
And John Wilkes Booth is in the photo. Now, I'm not sure of that.
I believe, but he was a well-known actor.
That's true.
But,
And,
I mean,
I think
he hated Lincoln.
But not till later, I believe. I believe he supported Lincoln at first.
Did he?
I always thought it was he supported Lincoln, which is why he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then later,
that would have been in 1861, of course. And then Lincoln won a re-election, right, in 1864, and took the office and died in April of 65 when Booth shot him, of course. And Donald Trump is the first president to skip the inauguration of the next president since Richard Nixon. Nixon did not go to the Jimmy Carter inauguration, and Trump did not go to Joe Biden's inauguration 4 years ago. So they skipped out. But John Adams also skipped Thomas Jefferson's in 1801. He didn't want to.
Those two did not get along, right?
Hated each other apparently, and so that they skipped. But that's very rare because usually, of course, they're sitting right there.
You got to go.
They've passed the torch on. I always wonder what those like the limo ride is like between like Biden and Trump are in the back of the same limo going down to the Capitol just for a few minutes.
That's the Trader Joe's. Yeah, Trader Joe's. Whole Foods. Yeah, Whole Foods.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall there, wouldn't you, to hear the conversation between those
history
two?
makers.
Yeah. They were saying yesterday that
Subway. Yeah, I like Subway.
That would be a nice conversation. Yeah. I know one year we were watching in here.
Hey, want to steal a glass? I'll steal a glass. Like this bar. Oh yeah, the bar stocked.
Oh yes. Well, one year we were watching, and it was when Obama was taking over for Bush, and the Bushes were getting into the limo as well as the Obamas. And it looked like Laura Bush said, "Just move my crap out of the way there. It's just sitting on the floorboard. Just get it out of the way. You know how you've got stuff in the limo. It's like, oh, man, that's my crap. Just get that out of the way. I apologize." And they were saying yesterday that one of the most awkward exchanges ever in the back of a limo like that, the Reagans and the Carters were in the limo, and Carter was still working to try to get the hostages out. And so he was like all business, and he was still on like the limo phone trying to do that. And Reagan was like talking about his years as an actor and cracking jokes, and Carter wasn't having any of that. He's like, I'm still working here. And so they had a tense exchange in the back of the limo. Patrick, you're talking about the Abraham Lincoln factoid being photographed with John Wilkes Booth and Lincoln's inauguration. Go ahead.
Sort of, yeah. It is actually John Wilkes Booth's older brother, Edwin, actually saved Robert Todd Lincoln from a fatal accident on the railroad tracks in Jersey City, New Jersey, in like late 1864, early 1865.
So Edwin Booth, John Wilkes Booth's brother, saves Lincoln's son, and then only a few months later, John Wilkes Booth assassinates the father.
Yep.
Unbelievable. The history here, that's true. And isn't one of Lincoln's sons, wasn't he present at 2 or 3 assassinations? At least
that's
2.
What I remember. I don't remember the details, but yeah.
There's a lot of fascinating stuff that goes on, at these inaugurations or events like that.
I always like when they mention the founders in the speeches, as if the founders today would recognize these inaugural procedures. Women in the chamber.
I know. Things completely different now, of course.
Well, I don't think so.
What are we doing? This is occasionally Biggie will reference female drivers. And every time you do, when you say something like women are not good drivers, an overwhelming amount of the women who calls it, you're right, we cannot drive. It's stunning.
I get more backing from women on this than from men.
I always say there's no difference. My daughter she said, I don't think women drivers are as good as men. I said, don't you dare say that about
Did she say that?
I said, don't you say that about your gender. That's just not, I won't have it, I won't hear it. But last night, after the national championship game, it was the time in the tunnel where Ryan Day, the Ohio State coach, and Will Howard, the quarterback, were being driven in a golf cart from the field to the wherever they do the interviews. So they were going, probably
The press room,
the
the media room.
But they don't walk. They're taken, which I didn't realize. They're taken in a golf cart. And there was a woman driving the golf cart, and she drove it, I would say, 4 feet straight into a wall.
And just cracked the suspension.
I mean,
Didn't even know it.
So the quarterback, who's still in his pads with a T-shirt over it, and Ryan Day are like, well, I guess we'll just walk. So they start
What do we do now?
walking.
Yeah.
Do we stay with the cart?
No, because
No.
she tried to back it up and get it going. Yes, it's cracked. There's no
The axle was shattered.
There's no driving it, and everybody's like, "Sweetheart, you just crashed the coach and the quarterback."
You had to go 6 feet.
Yeah, I mean,
These are valuable people.
yes, this is the quarterback. This is the coach, and she crashed it right into the wall. And I mean, it was not even. It was from me to Chris Demm. It was not like she was careened out of control, and it's just cracked right into it. We have some audio of it. There is an annoying gentleman off to the side saying, "Way to go, Ryan Day! You deserve it, Ryan Day."
Ryan Day, you deserve it, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
There's the wreck. Oh,
It's okay.
it's all right.
I'm so sorry.
Everybody okay? Everybody okay?
Now they just start walking. All right. You
I
hear
can fix it. No, you
No,
can't.
you cannot. The wheel is like
Oh my
turned to the
God.
side. I'm so sorry, you
so
guys.
sorry.
I'm so sorry, you guys. You should be.
One job.
You didn't even make
That's
it.
the classic one
She
job.
didn't even make it off the I mean, from one. She didn't make it 4 feet. I mean, she didn't make it off the view of the camera.
And clearly that guy in the beginning was all over the internet after Ohio State lost to Michigan calling for his job.
you know he was. You
What a
know he
Way
was.
to go,
Suck up.
Ryan
Way
Day.
to
Yeah,
go,
big time
Ryan.
suck up.
Thanks, Ryan Day.
Ryan Day, you deserve it, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
It's
It's
okay.
okay. Ryan Day's okay.
oh. You broke the suspension. Here.
It's definitely broke.
Is it okay? We're walking. That's it. Poor quarterback. He's just played 4 quarters.
God.
I gotta walk.
Yeah.
I gotta walk all the way down here to the interview room. It's good, Ryan Day. And you're
Good
right.
job.
I'm sure he was probably standing outside the stadium. You're fired,
yeah.
Ryan Day.
You suck.
You suck, Ryan Day. He's trying to make up for it now. The other interesting sports note here, there was a PGA event over the weekend. They're starting to do those now, on the West Coast and Hawaii. They're starting to have these PGA events. Wasn't it, was it Matsuyama who shot like a 40 under par or 35 under par?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, there's a golfer. He's a rookie golfer on the PGA Tour. His name is William Mao. I had not heard of him before, but he was at an event this weekend, the FedEx in California, I believe, and he's on a par 5 hole. I've seen it's a Pete Dye course, and I've seen the shots. He wound up shooting a 13 on the par 5.
Oof.
Any golfer has been in this situation. You don't see pros ever do it, but Biggie knows the pain. I know you do.
The green
yeah.
is kind of elevated, but there's a steep sand trap down to the left-hand side as you approach the green.
Yep.
And off to the right, there's a long grass slope.
Well, that's the thing. He got into that bunker first, and then he hit the ball over the green, as we've all been there. You know that. Then when he tried to come back onto the green, he shot it too far back into the bunker. Well, he did this multiple times.
He couldn't get out of the bunker.
He couldn't get out.
Get out of the bunker.
And multiple times he was over the green and then back. Well, finally, the Golf Channel, now they're on the 9th shot of 13. And finally, they're just like, what is this guy doing?
I think William Mao, this is his 9th shot, I'm told. That's not even where the pin is. That is almost exactly where Norlander hold it from. Why did he go out that way? Okay. Mao, again, this is his 10th shot. Oh my gosh. Please hit it. No, don't do that. What are you doing? He didn't. Mao, what are you doing?
Jesus, Mao.
So the 9th shot, he at least hit it back into the fairway. So he had a little bigger landing area
And still shot it over the green. Oh,
on
my
the
God.
next one.
My God, Mao, what are you doing? That was his 10th shot. It took him another 3 to get down.
Oy.
At least he stayed out of the bunker. You don't hear an announcer say that very much. Like,
No.
when somebody throws an interception, you don't usually hear like, oh, Jesus, Josh Allen, what are you doing?
Well, not the national guys, but I did see, where the game that the playoff game that the Vikings lost.
Yeah.
Darnold was holding the ball and he was getting sacked and sacked
Yeah.
and sacked.
9
And the
times.
announcer's like, he's holding it too long.
Throw the ball.
You're holding the ball too long.
The ball. Well, The first game I saw Bo Nix play, he'd go back to pass, and right as he let it go, the color analyst was like, oh, no. Oh, God. Oh, no. It'd be intercepted.